Hello, everybody, and welcome to iHLS Innotech International Conference. In this segment, we'll talk about innovation in the IDF and INNOFENSE project led by Mafat of Israel's Ministry of Defense. Details immediately. We have a very distinguished panel here, and as we do, please introduce yourselves by order of sitting. Major, starting with you.
Hi, Doris Pitilon. I'm the head of Innovation Lab in Ground Forces IDF.
Ground Forces IDF.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you here. Guy?
Hi, I'm Guy Keren. I'm the CEO of iHLS. The company has organized this event, and we are running two accelerator programs. One of them is with the IDF.
IDF, all right. Thank you for having us here. Michal?
Hi. I'm Michal Altschuler-Kalifa, the head of economic innovation and the chief economist in the Ministry of Defense.
Ministry of Defense. And David?
Hi. So my name is David Rokach, and I'm a managing partner at SOSA HLSTECH and one of the managing of INNOFENSE Accelerator.
Great. And also joins us remotely. It's a little mysterious, but this is because of security concerns. Major, tell us who you are.
Hi, everyone. Major D. I'm the head of the innovation department in the Israeli Air Force.
Head of Innovation in Israeli Air Force. That's a huge job, I guess, and we'll hear about it. And again, because of security concerns, we cannot show you the face of Major D. So we'll just call you D. Thank you for coming to us as well. So, Michal, Innofence, which is innovation and defense. What is it? Describe this project.
Okay, so Innofence is an open innovation program. The Ministry of Defense collaborate with private innovation centers, SOSA and iHLS. The startups in the program contact directly with the innovation centers. That way, we bypass all the regulations and bureaucracy and make the process easier and faster.
Mm-hmm. David, what's in it for the startups? Why do startups need governments at all?
First, it's a good question, because if you will meet startups in the street and you will ask them if you want to join the government for startup process, I'm not sure the answer will be yes, but it's a huge opportunity. I think, as you know, Israel is an operation, unfortunately, is an operational lab, and all the world organizations and corporate looking for the Israeli innovation. That's the main reason that startups should meet Innofence and the Minister of Defense.
Right. Guy, it's really a unique cooperation, Innofence, innovation and defense, private and government. What's in it for each side?
Well, it's a great question. Like David just said, it's when you're talking to startup, going to the army or work with the Minister of Defense, it's something that actually scared them. There is a lot of reason. One of the reasons they think that if they go to the army, they will block them. They won't let them sell their product outside of Israel, and none of the startup is working for the Israelis market. Everybody's working for the market which is outside of Israel. And I think that's about the reputation that the MOD and the Israeli military, the IDF, have. A very tight and strong and very precise organization. I think the smart idea about Innofence is they collaborate with civilians, which is us, and we are running in a pace of civil life. And the MOD, which have a lot of smart people sitting over there, they can help us to develop the system faster and much more precise. And the army itself, which is he is a part of those processes that helping us finding the exact solution for what's bothering them. And I think this combination of civil, the MOD, and the IDF together, sitting together once a week, twice a week, sometimes more than that, and actually finding the right way to approach the IDF And when you're getting the military arms, including the smart people that's sitting in the MOD and the civil accelerator, which is pushing the system to work in a different pace that it used to work, you've seen 6 months later, there is a huge success in those programs. We will talk about it. But the program has actually already, the arms start to work with those startups that we found about 6 months ago.
Major, talk to me about the strategy of the IDF when it comes to innovation.
So we have two main goals. One is to implement a culture to encourage people inside the army for entrepreneurship, and the other one is a techno-operational projects. We want to help people from the youngest soldier to the biggest major, to help them to take their idea and to develop it to a product. And also, we are trying to take a lot of technologies from the civilian world into the army. So this is why we started the Innofence program.
Right, this is the field now. Let's move to the air. Major D, we are with you now. Innovation and Israeli Air Force. Israeli Air Force has been in the innovation business, I think, from day one. That's what we would expect, right? So it's nothing new to you, actually, or is it?
The way we do innovation in the Air Force has always been one of the bases for the Air Force growth. We're actually bringing in new ways. One of them is Innofence. Michal said at the start of this panel that this is an open innovation program, which is important to say. And open innovation is a way to bring technology from the outside inside the Air Force, and it's a difficult task when you're talking about a security and a government cooperation. So basically, when now in this program, we manage to incorporate startups with the Air Force to basically give answers to the Air Force needs and the startup needs. And this is what's really special here.
Can you give us some rough examples of that kind of cooperation, things that came out of this for Israeli Air Force?
So I will gladly do, but sadly it's classified.
I tried, I tried. David,
yes.
What about a clash of cultures between government and private sector?
Okay.
Don't smile so much.
So it's more than clash. It's crash. It can be crash, but I think this is our job, Guy and I in iHLS and in SOSA, to try to bridge between the private sector and the civilian sector and the government. I'm a former colonel from the Israeli army and can tell you 10 years ago, we are the frontier of the technologies. Today, the civilian is much more mature technology. For example, if you are talking about drones, autonomous, AI, or others. So both sides should understand that there is a dual-use technologies, and this is the right way to bridge between these two worlds.
Right. Michal, it's tough sometimes?
It's very tough, but I think that the Ministry of Defense and Mafat, of course, understand that we have to work with startups. If we want to be at the edge of the technology, we have to work in startups, and we have to change the regulation, the bureaucracy, the payment terms, the intellectual property terms. We have to change everything in order to adjust ourselves to the startups. And I think that we can see that we just finished the first cycle of Innofence, and we can see a great, huge progress in the startups. So it works, but yes, sometimes harsh.
Yeah. Well, Guy, take us to a little bit to how it works, how you take startups and how you bring the government in and find this matchmaking.
Well, both of the centers, the innovation centers, are actually calling for startup in the beginning. We are doing through our website or through advertising, and we're getting, I don't know, both of us, each of us brought about 100 startups into the table. But before that, the MOD and the arms of the IDF sat together and decided what kind of technology they're looking for. After we get the application, we choose about 40 startups, something like that, and brought them to the MOD for them to choose.
So it's like a competition.
Right. But it's a big competition, because think about it, there's only 5 startups getting into the program. Each of us bring about 100 startups in the beginning, so only 5% of the startup is actually getting into the program. And after we are choosing those startups, and we are sitting with them, and each startup is getting personal help for whatever he needs. This program is not about everybody's getting the same. We are sitting with each and every startup to understand what we have and what we can do with it, and which one is the fastest road for development.
Major Doris, I want to ask you maybe a complicated question about the IP. Obviously, military stuff has to stay secretive. Obviously, it has to be in your hands and nobody else's hands. How do you deal with that when startups are coming and offer technologies that may make billions outside of the state?
Yeah, so I think this is the huge progress we did with this program, because in this program we don't take the IP. We leave it to the startup. We understand that this is like the business of the startup. We help them to get into a new market and understand the challenges the IDF and the ground forces facing. And we give them the opportunity to develop with us the technology and the architecture of the technology to the army, and the IP is theirs.
Mm-hmm. Is there a process when you take some innovations and then you take it to yourselves and
Yes.
post-develop it?
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing in Innofence. As Doris said, we don't take IP, we don't take equity. All we ask for is a non-commercial use for military purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And that's interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, and of course the Major who will stay without face, Major D, thank you very much. This is this segment at Innotech, but we'll see you in another one shortly. See you.